that introduced us. So I am also native of East Cleveland, born and raised. I am a graduate of Notre Dame College. I actually studied communication and public relations, so never really saw myself on any of the political side of things, but just have a really love for East Cleveland, and one of those people that feels like I should not have to leave my community to live in a better one. To be totally honest with you, I did not want to come back to East Cleveland. Life kind of forced me back here a few years ago, but once it did, I decided I'm not going to be one of those people that lives here and doesn't do anything about it. So we are two individuals, educated, who, yeah, didn't have to come back. Now we're here for whatever reasons, and we just want to try to make a difference and try to recruit and influence other leaders and other professionals to step up as well.
So in some sense, that's sort of an introduction of who we are, but we also wanted to give everyone here an opportunity to say who they are and what drew them to this meeting today. So, we're hoping that everyone could say a 30-second introduction of who you are, why you're interested in the work that we might be able to do together, and what drew you here today on this rainy Saturday afternoon. So, Mr. Cranborough, you want to start us off?
Hello, everyone. I'm William Cranborough. I'm a board member here at the East Cleveland Public Library. I'm also a resident, a taxpayer, a business owner within the city limits. And I'm just here to find out what's going on. Thank you.
My name is Adam Clater. I live in Glenville, kind of University Circle area. This is happening kind of all over the country. You know, Harlem, San Francisco, Oakland, you name the city, it's happening. So I'm very interested from a business mindset of, let's draw the land from Huff, University Circle to East Cleveland. And I think you have some very valuable land that people are very interested in. So I want to see what transpires here.
Hello, my name is Philip Moore. I'm a resident. I actually live on Euclid Avenue, and I get to see so much from the front window. And I would like to see some improvements to the city of East Cleveland. And I think it is going to take a grassroots organization. Don't look for the government, take care of yourself. So in the city, if you have something to offer, if I can assist you with it.
Do you live in East Cleveland?
Yes.
Diane Davis-Sikora. I'm Associate Professor at Penn State in Architecture, and I'm a resident of East Cleveland. I live on Euclid Avenue as well, and very much struck by the mission statement of this group when I saw the announcement, and very excited for this meeting, actually.
Cheryl Struthers, 44112 News. They cover the news. I'm hoarse this week. Operation.
My name is Muhammad Ali. I'm a resident of East Cleveland. I've started a new community development corporation in East Cleveland. I have a great interest in this area. I was born and raised in the northeast part of Cleveland, so I live in East Cleveland, Collarwood, and Glenville. So I feel a great connect because I was here as a child. I had opportunity to see a lot of change, and from what I see, like right now, I'm very, very much interested in our people awakening to who they are, taking some charge and idea and courage and stand up about taking care of us. I have two young gentlemen here who are not black people within a black city, but I've been blessed to have their energy for the positive cause to assist and help in East Cleveland. And I feel blessed to have that energy. And what has drawn me here is the positive and many great things that I've heard about Miss Cassie Pittman. And so I was encouraged to come here because I feel it's very, very important that we us to grow. So I'm interested in anything and anyone who could assist that.
I'm Zach Whitney. I was fortunate to meet Mr. Ali at a concert. I just got my bachelor's in trombone performance. Really interested in music education, and I'm very confident that the arts can heal any kind of community, any kind of issue, and that's kind of my involvement and why I'm here today.
My name is Tom Stewart, and I, like my dear friend Zach here, am also a musician. We both have just completed a Bachelor's of Music Performance degrees at the Cleveland Institute of Music. I is a trombone player. Thank you. And I play the violin. I am originally from Toledo, Ohio. My immediate family resides there, but all of my mother's family is from Cleveland. And I moved to Cleveland when I was 14 to study at the Cleveland Institute of Music. And so I do have a number of roots here, and this city has meant ever so much to me for so many reasons. But throughout college, it's been a real sort of eye-opening experience for me in so many different ways, of course, musically and otherwise, but especially culturally. And just through much of the academic work that I did at Case Western, actually, I took anthropology and things like that, kind of coming into contact with some of the real documented problems with the stress of living in underdeveloped neighborhoods and that kind of thing. This really was very profound to me. In addition, a lot of the research I've done has been about the effects that music can have in fixing a lot of the physiological actual stress that can cause. There was a recent experiment that was done on Alzheimer's patients with music where they connected them to a number of different sensors, MRIs, things like that, measuring the electrical signals in the brain while they were listening to music, and it had some extraordinary findings. They began to remember childhood memories and things that these people were waking up in ways that they hadn't many years before. So sorry I've said my piece, but at any rate, we're from Collab Arts, is this new initiative that we're starting, and we want to really do whatever can be done to try and heal pain and suffering and bring some humanity to Cleveland.
My name is Shadi Rashid. I grew up here in East Cleveland, Ohio. Currently live in South Euclid, Ohio. Been up here about 20 years. It's always been an intention of mine to come back to the city, own some land here, open a couple of businesses as well. Anything that's moving, we're in a position where we can control the politics of our neighborhood. I'm interested in it. So as much as two of us have moved in positions where we can move out of the neighborhood, I don't think that's the correct strategy. I would like to move back, and anyone that's making an effort toward making this something feasible, I'm interested in hearing the idea.
Hi, I'm Zaki Rashid, Shadi's father.
We see the resemblance.
My mom moved us here to East Cleveland in 1960. We were some of the first African-American students to go to East Cleveland schools. And during that time, I used to walk to Roselle, I used to walk to Kirk, and then on to Shaw. Later on in my life, I ended up building the first cable television system in the city of East Cleveland. And I've always had a very deep connection to this community because of my childhood. And after returning from working for a Fortune 500 company, Comcast, as a vice president, and returning home and looking at what has happened here in the city, I got deeply involved in the politics for a few years ago and have continued to do so, and came very quickly to a realization that it is not the city. The problems that we are dealing with right now, which every community is dealing with, but I look at and I listen to our administration's explanation as to how we got here over the last 50 years, which he talks about, and I am personal about it because I'm personally involved in it. And the reality is, East Cleveland was out of fiscal emergency. It was out. When this administration took office, with less than 2 years, we were plummeted right back into the same situation, and worse than we've ever been before. It clearly, to me, indicated that the whole issue that deals with our community is leadership. How is it that all of these things have happened to people all over the United States, but you can put one foot in East Cleveland and the other foot in University Circle, and to see what they've done managing the same time period that we're talking about. So in my feeling, and the reason why I'm here is that I want to be involved on any level that I can to try to be a positive force in this whole process, because we are going to come out of this. We are going to survive, we are going to grow. We do not need to give away our city to anybody else, because what are they going to do? Exactly what we could have done. So I see it as being leadership. I want to work with anybody and anything that I can to make that leadership change and create a vision for this city that we all can collaborate around. We can look and focus our energy on and know where we're going every day, because 90% of the leadership is creating a vision. Once you create a vision, everybody buys into that. You have bumps along the way. But if everybody knows where we're going, we keep pushing in the same direction. But when it is as scattered and as fragmented as it is now, and it's that way because people object to what's going on, and they have a right to object. So that's why I'm sitting here today, because I want to help. I want to help make a change, and one way or another, we're going to get it done. It's just a matter of how long it takes us.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Charles Boone, concerned citizen. Like you all have various concerns and issues that we have here. To elaborate, to give a bio to Cassie Pittman, my aunt worked it for Gary Pittman when he was first mayor of East Cleveland. Her name was Sarah Bass, and the legislator, Mr. Brewers, they both were family of mine. What brought me to East Cleveland was that to give back to the community on the issues in the environment, from housing stock, the stuff that I see on a daily basis needs to improve. As we have children around here, the most concerns me is the issue of lead. I don't know, has that been settled or not, but the issue of lead, it leads to the issues with the environment. I'm in the business for the environment, and if we just can sit down and evaluate and clean our neighborhoods, that will hopefully bring in some friendly businesses to where they're willing to sit down and talk to us about anything that we need to get done in our city.
Awesome, thank you, Mr. Boone. We're just introducing ourselves, so I know you're a little bit in line here. Or what drew you to the meeting?
Hi everyone, my name is Ephraim Abdullah, and I'm the president for the East Cleveland Chamber of Commerce. And I'm brought out to the meeting because I'm in support of the development and future prosperity of East Cleveland. Thank you.
So just briefly, to give you an idea of like how the meeting will flow, we'll basically have a short presentation that Charles will give that will kind of think about where we've been and where we're going, right? And then I will kind of give an overview of what I think are 3 very important facts that we all need to know, and then actionable steps that we can take to actually make our community better. So what are things that we can actually do? So there's blue goggles of meetings and lots of discussion, and there's never any steps that people can actually take to improve their community. And so we want to make sure that we address what are actionable steps, and then also as a group, what are steps that we can take. So that will be sort of our flow, and then at the end we'll have question and answer, and that'll just be sort of an open discussion about what our goals should be, what should be the things that we, how do we imagine a future East Cleveland that is prosperous and vibrant? What are the things that will make up such a community? And so that will be towards the end. So that's just to give you an idea of how our sort of meeting will flow. Our goal is, again, to remain prompt and on schedule. So, Sharon, I'll turn it over to you. And I don't know if you might want to move the laptop.
So as I mentioned in my brief introduction, my professional background is public relations and communications. I am a small business owner. I provide marketing and public relations services. So of course all this here is volunteer, but this is what I do as a profession. So even when there's only 2 of us, my job is to make this thing look a lot bigger than what it is. So I'm gonna start, this is kind of probably not in the flow, but I'm in charge of social media. We are on Facebook. I encourage all of you, even right now, if you're on Facebook, please look us up, East Cleveland Collaborative, like us, follow us. We will be posting meetings and future events there. We've been playing around with some hashtags, either East Cleveland Rising, or as I like to hashtag EC Rising, or EC Pride Alive. The reason why I'm bringing those 2 up is because we would like to take a little vote on which you like most, because we do have plans to perhaps do some signs in the grass later on down the road as fundraising, where we either do our full campaign around EC Rising or EC Pride Alive. So going into my presentation, this is where it started, EC Pride Alive. And just to go over the mission again, our mission is to identify and propose options for a prosperous and sustainable East Cleveland while providing information to elevate public discourse. And so just a little bit of the history and highlights. Most of you all know this, but Shaw High School was donated by Sarah Shaw after the death of her husband, John. Shaw Stadium was actually once served as the home of the Rams. And of course now it's the home of our beloved marching band, who is still traveling all around the world. Forest Hill, as most of you all know, previous estate of John D. Rockefeller. The estate was sold to Rockefeller Jr. and then later donated to EC and Cleveland Heights specifically for public recreation. One that was new to me is NELA. So GE, the National Electric Lamp Association, it was the world's first industrial park. So that fence that nobody has really ever crossed in East Cleveland, yeah, historic. And it was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1975. And of course, as most of you know, Euclid Avenue was known as Millionaire's Row from the 1860s to the 1920s, and it's still home to 18 of the original Millionaire Row homes. So as we know, issues that are affecting East Cleveland, there's a decline, a very heavy decline in the population, especially of the younger generation. Most people that still stay here are grandparents, you know, some of the older generation who at this point are just not moving, you know. So they kind of are stuck here to some extent. Abandoned properties, I think they're starting to kind of do a better job of tearing down some of those properties, but probably not for the actual benefit of the communities. And then city maintenance, you know, as you all know, we have a dump here now, and then just in general, I don't know about you all, but some days my trash doesn't get picked up till 5 o'clock. So these are all just complaints that we hear about, that we know about. Solution, bring pride back to East Cleveland. I'm a storyteller, so for me, it's all about culture. So Cassie is strong in the facts, and I paint the picture, she backs it up with the facts, you know, is the way I look at our team. I'm very concerned with the culture of the community. It's not enough to get out and clean or do anything if the people don't still respect their own backyards. I'm more concerned with not only people getting out there and cleaning up, but then actually feeling some kind of way when they're seeing someone else throw trash on the ground. So the solution to me is to find and encourage present and future professionals to lead pride initiatives to overshadow negative media, with the goal to shift East Cleveland's image to a state of progress and to influence growth in residents and businesses. I feel like if we change the culture, if we actually have a community that cares, you know, more businesses will actually be willing to move in. And then of course with more businesses comes more residents actually willing to move in. So the 1, 2, 3 step, establish leadership. There's professionals past and present who are nostalgic about the city of East Cleveland, and with a consistent message, these individuals can influence the masses. So once again, that's why I started off with the Facebook thing. Hey, there's 2 of us, but we got quite a few likes on Facebook, and people probably think we're a much larger organization than what we are, and we want to continue to portray that with as much support as possible. Not to mention, it's really amazing to me of how many people love to represent East Cleveland. Yeah, I'm from East Cleveland, I'm from East, but they're not doing anything. So we really want to kind of find those people who are, you know, super EC addicts and say, okay, hey, you know, come on, let's actually do something about it, which is what this meeting is called, I guess. Shameless plug. Operation Cleanup. So while there are groups that volunteer to clean up, the new initiative has to be aggressive, equivalent to a neighborhood watch that actually reports vandalizers and litterers. So once again, that culture, that community aspect. You mentioned Mildred being related to Mildred Brule. I grew up on Grassmere, which is still where I live now. There was no such thing as littering on my street, period. And it's still that way. No, none of my neighbors allow it. The trash that is probably on my street now is being blown off of Euclid somewhere. Literally, it's not allowed on my street. And I think that sense of community to your own ward, to your own blocks, needs to be reestablished. And then leadership recognition. So events, press releases, any opportunity to highlight significant individuals in the community must be regulated to keep positive messages of EC in the media. So obviously, we know whenever the news comes in, they pick one spot, usually that area right on Terrace where it looks like Mars, where the whole entire street is caving in, and the building that just looks like they're about to go and shoot an action movie there. I mean, pretty much that's where they go first, and that is not the whole of East Cleveland, but that's what's being portrayed. So even if it's something simple, even if it's just a smaller organization and meeting, I think as much as we can possibly support and cover each other that are doing something positive in East Cleveland, maybe we can start overshadowing some of the negative attention.